In this video, I'm going to give you a tour of Dave Ramsey's EveryDollar budgeting app, and I'll share with you exactly how my husband and I do our personal budget using this app and how we track expenses when we're out and about in the world to make sure that we don't go over on certain categories. Now, I will say I don't usually use the word budget. I prefer the term cash flow plan because it's like a plan for the cash that's flowing in, right? Whereas sometimes people feel a sense of like constriction with the word budget. Cash flow feels a little bit more abundant. So whether you call it a budget or a cash flow plan, let's check out EveryDollar. And if you appreciate this level of transparency, tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and here we go. When we first go to everydollar.com, you can see if you want to start a new account, you can just click sign up and follow the prompts to do that. I already have an account, so I'm going to click sign in. And when I sign in, this is what I see. Now, the reason I'm seeing this is because I'm recording this on the first of the month and we haven't put our cash flow plan in for this month yet. And one of the things that I really like about EveryDollar is that it'll allow you to use the plan from the last month as like a template for this month. And that's really nice because you do want a separate cash flow plan for each month because every month is different. Some months your car registration is due, some months it's Christmas, some months you're going to take a trip or have an anniversary or birthday gift, right? But there's a lot of things that are going to be the same or mostly the same. So it's nice to have a place to start out and then you can just go in and zhuzh it a little bit. So I'm going to click start planning for April, and it'll pull up what I had in here before. Now, I was using this particular account as an example, so it's not actually totally filled in. This is the account that I use for teaching versus the account that we actually use. But when we use it, this is how it looks. So it copied over my numbers from before. It said, okay, we have Paul's paycheck here, estimated at $5,500, Penelope's paycheck, estimated at $5,500, and Airbnb at $1,500. And one of the things I like about this is you can add or delete or move categories. So let's say I'm not doing Airbnb anymore. We could delete that. Or let's say, wait, I have some Airbnb income. We need to add that. You can add it just like that. And let's say we do have $1,500 from Airbnb in this case. Then there we go. The reason that it's saying over budget right now is because it has some old stuff in here. So let me go ahead and zero that out. Actually, I think it's mostly, yeah, here I just put a whole bunch of extra in pet care just to show what it looks like when you go over budget. So one of the things that I really like about this app, and I will say there is a free version and a paid version. So I have tried both versions, the free version and the paid version. And at this point in my life, I actually prefer the free version because I found it a little cumbersome to pull all the little bubbles into the categories for all of the transactions. I think that the fee is super reasonable. So if you like the paid version, go for it. One thing I will say that is that doing it manually like we do, there is a chance that we'll miss something. Like for example, we buy a lot of stuff on Amazon and they make the process so seamless. You know, we have some things on auto ship, other things, you know, you could just buy with a click of the button. So it might be hard to remember to go like put it in EveryDollar. So I think that one of the disadvantages to the free version is you might forget something. But since there's only a few categories that we really need to track where we're more likely to go over on those categories, I don't like having to track every single little thing. So for now, at this point in my life, I prefer the free version, but both are great. So you can choose which one works best for you. Okay, so we've put in our income, and one of the things that I really like about EveryDollar is that it'll do all the math for you. And it's also very customizable. So I showed you how you can customize these different income categories, right? So let's say the income categories are the way you want. Now you're going to start allocating to your budget or cash flow plan. And one of the things that I like about EveryDollar as well is that they have your charitable giving and your savings accounts first. You've heard the concept of pay yourself first, right? This is how you do it. You want to allocate for those things in your cash flow plan before the month even begins. Because if you leave it as an afterthought, then a lot of times you're not going to get to it. You're just going to have scraps, or you couldn't be saving and investing and giving as much as you could. So we want to start with the allocations to things like charitable giving. If you tithe, that would go in here. Your investments, your savings, stuff like that. So in here, they actually have giving as its own category. For me, I lump all that into what I call prosperity accounts. So I have these various different accounts for different purposes, and they're all in here. And I would put all of them together. But Dave has a charity separated out, which is fine. So let's say we're planning on giving $500 to charity this month. You would just enter it like that. And then we have our other savings accounts. So one of the things that they have in here automatically is your emergency fund. And I don't think you can change the name. Can you move it? Let's see. Yeah, you can move it. Okay, so that's nice. So they have the emergency fund in here automatically. I prefer the term reserve fund or contingency fund, just, following law of attraction. I want to focus, what you focus on expands. I want to focus on having reserves and having contingency plans versus having emergencies. So that's just a little preference. So I don't love that they call it emergency fund, but that's fine. It's in here, and I don't think I can delete it. Can you delete it? No, you can move it, but I don't see a way to delete it. So we're just going to put in 500 to contingency. So I know what that's called. And then I'm going to put 500 into investments, 500 into education, 500 into play, which, you could put in lifestyle, but we actually one of the things that I teach is to have like a play account to teach you how to spend money, if that's something you have a hard time doing. If you're like, that is not a problem, I have no problem spending money, then you probably don't need that account. But for some people, it's very difficult to spend money on themselves. And spending is part of a healthy relationship with money. So we want to train on that for some people. Okay, then we have permanent wealth. That's another prosperity account that I talk about at my Financial Freedom 101 event. So if you want to learn more about the different prosperity accounts, you can check that out at financialfreedom101online.com. But for now, let's say you're like, well, I don't have that. You could just delete it. Boom. Let's say you wanted to add an account for saving for Christmas. So you could say Christmas account, right? Or you could even do save up for a down payment. You could say house account, and you could be saving towards a specific goal. So any savings goals that you have, you can add right here, which is so great. And you can also move them around just by clicking the little dots and dragging them where you want. So this is one of the things I really love about EveryDollar, is how you can add and subtract things and move them around. Okay, then we get into lifestyle. So we've allocated for savings and investing and education and giving and all that good stuff. Now we get into just regular bills. So in the beginning is housing. After taxes, that is the number one biggest expense for most people. We are super lucky in that we own our home in Silicon Valley free and clear. So we actually don't have rent or mortgage. Yay! But we do have an HOA. There's just no way around that. So put money in for that. Our property taxes are also like insanely low for this area, $300 a month. So we'll leave that there. Electricity, that's going to vary. I'm going to estimate $150 for now. Natural gas, maybe another 50. We actually have those as one bill. Water, I'll guess 150, not 1,500, 150. There we go. Trash, maybe 50. And our cable and internet and phones are all bundled into about a $300 thing. So I'm just going to put cable, internet, phones here. Oh, this will be renamed in all your budgets. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's nice that they give you that heads up. Then we get into transportation. So let's say I think we're going to invest or put $400 into gas. Do we have any car repairs this month? Actually, yes. I did have to just buy 4 new tires, which was about $900. So I will put that in there. I don't think we have any other maintenance due or registration due this month. So I'm going to leave that there. Groceries, let's estimate $2,000 for groceries, which seems like so much to me. But food's gotten expensive. What can you do? And there's 4 of us. I like to eat organic, all the things. So we'll put $2,000 in there. And we do like to go out to eat. So let's see, coming up this month, I don't think we have any really special birthday meals, or we have Easter. I don't think we're doing anything excessive for Easter, just having an Easter egg hunt at the house. So restaurants will leave at about $800 for the month. I'm just like, oh my God, we spend so much on food, but it is what it is. Clothing, I don't think we have any clothing needs. Phone is bundled. Like I said, hair, cosmetics. We did just get the kids haircuts. So let's put in, and I realized that I said we just did it, but we didn't budget for it last month. So let's budget for it this month. Subscriptions, nothing I can think of. This isn't really a good category for us, so I'm going to just delete that. And then lifestyle, here we go. Healthcare, that is, health insurance comes out of Paul's paycheck, but let's say I want to get a massage or go to the chiropractor or something like that. I'll put 180 in for that. Childcare, this is a big one. Okay, so childcare, let's put in $1,000 for that. Entertainment, we're going to Cirque du Soleil this month, so that's already paid for though, so we'll leave that the way it is. Pet care, so with pets, here's a good budgeting tip. When it comes to pets, a rule of thumb is to estimate $100 a month per pet, because a lot of months it's not going to be that much. You have some food, maybe some toys, and then they have to go to the vet. It's like, so we have 2 birds. We have Joey, my bird, who's an African gray parrot, and we have Max, Paul's bird, who is a yellow-naped Amazon. So we will budget $200 a month for our birds, and I don't think we'll need that much, but then that allows us to put extra aside for vet bills when that comes up, which I could just put that in the reserve fund, I suppose, but I'm going to put it in here for now. So $200 for pets. Miscellaneous I like to come back to at the end. Gym, Paul does have a fancy gym. Medicine and vitamins. Okay, so this is more me, definitely have to have my supplements. So let's put in $200 for supplements. Don't think we have any doctor visits this month. Health insurance comes out of Paul's paycheck. We do have life insurance. Auto insurance. Ooh, what's that up to? Oh, the auto insurance has gotten crazy. Okay, so what we actually do is I listed out all our non-monthly expenses. So things that are due once every quarter or once every 6 months or once every year. So we know how much they are, but it's not every single month. What I did is I made a list of that, and I figured out how much would it be if it was every single month, and that gets automatically transferred into another account. And then when it's time to pay one of those bills, like property taxes or auto insurance, we just pull the money out of the account. And I just updated the auto transfer amount, and I don't remember what I updated it to. I think it's $630. I want to say $636. So I'm going to put $636 here for that. I mean, actually, how I should do that is up here in savings. I'm going to go back and put non-monthly expenses. And if I do this, then this should just be the same every month until I change it. And then that way I don't have to remember every month. So that is a better way to do that. All right. So I'm going to take that off of auto insurance, and I'm going to put 0, knowing that the auto insurance is taken care of in that non-monthly expenses account. Homeowners or renters insurance, that is included in the HOA, so we're good there. And then debt, we actually don't have any consumer debt, so that's good. I'm going to delete all of this because I want to show you something with it. Okay, I'm going to delete this entire group. Delete group. Okay. So this is how we do it. So right now it says that we have $16.98 left to budget, which makes me think maybe I forgot something because we shouldn't have that much. But I'm just doing it on the fly. It's always a little it's kind of like being in the hot seat when I'm recording a video, right? So let's see. We haven't put in miscellaneous yet. We might be able to save a little bit more. So maybe we could put $1,500 into investments instead. and that would leave us with $698. Okay, so maybe the non-monthly is more than I thought. Anyway, this is what I do is like once we get down to the last few $100s, then I tend to put that into miscellaneous. So in this case, I'm going to up the investing to 2,000, and that gives me 198 left. Okay, so that's like a good amount. So I'm going to go back to miscellaneous, and I'm going to put 198 in there for miscellaneous. Now, what this does is it allows me to have a buffer for little things like light bulbs or sheets or toilet paper, or like things that I might not include in groceries for whatever reason. And it also allows us to have, completely assigned every dollar, which is why this is called EveryDollar. You want to give every dollar an assignment or every dollar a name before the month begins. And you want to tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. So that is one thing I really love about this app is the origin of the name EveryDollar, giving every dollar an assignment. Just imagine if every dollar in your life was a member of your team and you could go assign it and get it working hard for you, right? Your money ultimately can work a lot harder for you than you can work for it. And one of the ways to give your money a job is like this with the cash flow plan. Okay, so we've entered everything in here and it says, ta-da, it's an EveryDollar budget, yay! So that means that we have done what's called a zero-based budget. We've taken our income minus the allocations and that equals 0. Now that doesn't mean that we have to have a bank balance of 0. Like we could have some money where its job is to stay in the account as a buffer. And that is in fact what we have. I like to have about $2,000 in our personal account as like a minimum balance just in case. And so that money's assignment is to be there as a buffer. And so now every single dollar has an assignment. It has a job before the month begins. That's the idea of EveryDollar. Now I want to show you this group thing. So when my business was smaller, and it was just me and my business and I were more, intertwined, I still had separate accounts for business and personal. So I wasn't like commingling any funds. However, what I did for planning purposes is I added my business to the cash flow plan so that I could see everything in one place. And the only reason for that is I didn't want to have to log in to two separate accounts. I wanted to just log in to one EveryDollar account and have everything right there. And now that my business has evolved and it's much bigger and the income varies so much, I use a different method for cash flow planning for business, which is the method for like if you don't know how much your income is. So if you want me to do another video on that, let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, since we know how much our paychecks are, Paul works for a company that pays him, and I work for a company which happens to be my own company, but I have a payroll company that processes my paycheck. So I am an employee of my corporation, and so I know how much my paycheck is. So this method of cash flow planning works great for our personal cash flow plan or our personal budget. Let me show you what I used to do when my business was smaller. So what I did was I clicked Add Group and I put Real Prosperity Inc., which is the name of my company. We're a coaching and training company supporting people around their finances. So I created this group for Real Prosperity Inc. And then I added different items for my business. So I put my CRM in here, which is Contact Relationship Manager. It's like your email management system and stuff like that. So mine was $2.99 a month. I put that in there. I have my Zoom account. I think that works out to like $15 a month. I had, after a while, I had a virtual assistant part-time for $215 a month. So like that. So I put my business expenses in here. This was before my business was separate from me and giving me a regular paycheck. So in the beginning, or earlier, the revenue would come into my business and my business would just like write me a check, right? And so I wanted to account for everything. And so instead of having just my paycheck up there at the top, this would actually be my business revenue. So I might, I understand. Thank you. My business revenue might be $10,000. And after business expenses, $5,500 is the amount that comes to me, for example. So it would all be accounted for in here. but I wasn't actually mixing the money. I was just having one place where I could plan it all. So I love that you can add groups like this. For a while, Paul had a whole group in here just for his auto racing stuff. He's like, I'm going to need new tires, and I'm going to need, it was mostly like tires and wheels. I'm like, I don't think we need an entire category for that. Like, to me, that feels like it could just be a lifestyle thing. One thing I will point out is if you manage finances with somebody, it's a really good idea to have a category for each person that's like your spontaneous, fun, like miscellaneous money that you can put towards whatever you want without the other person's approval. So in our case, we have a category for me and a category for Paul. And that way, if he wants to spend, $300 on a Deadpool action figure, he can just go ahead and do that as long as there's money in that account. And I won't be like, what? You spent $300 on what? On the other hand, if I want to go, I actually went to a wedding in Colorado, and I had enough saved in my account to pay for, the plane ticket and everything and the Airbnb. And it was like, hey, it's here. I could just do it. And he didn't have to be like, wow, I can't believe you're spending all that money on going to a wedding, right? Or whatever, buying new shoes, necklaces like this, whatever I want to do, as long as there's money in that account, we're good to go. And that way he can spend money on stuff that I think is crazy. I can spend money on stuff that he thinks is crazy. And it's all good because it's accounted for. And so there's like no fights about that, which is really great. So I highly recommend having a category like that for each person, and I'll show you how to set it up in EveryDollar. So how you set up those separate accounts is under lifestyle or separate categories. I might put Penelope Fun Money, and this is why I had money left over to budget. That's why, because I didn't have these categories in. And then Paul Fun Money, we could put it in like that. And then as long as we have money left in that category, we are all good to go. So I'm going to change this back to Penelope Paycheck so we can see a more realistic view here. And then it also lets you know if you're over budget. If you have more left to allocate, if you're over budget, it'll let you know without you having to go through and do any math, which is really nice. So that's basically the process. If you do have debt, you could add it here. Like we got a 0% COVID loan from our credit union, which is pretty cool. So let's see. What do we do here? Click add debt. Come on. It's like, you will not go into debt. Okay. Patelco COVID loan. This has since been paid off, but I just want to show you how to set it up. This is a bank loan. The balance was like $5,000. The minimum payment was $138. Wow. I'm surprised I remember that amount. Interest rate was 0, and the original balance was $5,000, and then you can just add it. And then you can track paying it down, which is pretty cool. So if I want to put the $138 there, then that's how you would account for that. So once you have everything in here, then you can actually track it as you go. So the goal inside EveryDollar is to give EveryDollar an assignment or a name before the month begins, and you can see if you're over or under. And what you want to do is you want to get to the point where it says it's an EveryDollar budget, right? So I adjusted that investment account. We have $33 left to budget. I'm going to go put that in miscellaneous. So I'm just going to zero it out. So we have $231 left to budget. So I'm going to put that in miscellaneous, and boom, it's an EveryDollar budget. So ta-da, your monthly budget or your monthly cash flow plan is done. Yay. And now as you go through the month, you can track how you're doing, and EveryDollar will even let you know what you've spent so far and what you have left, which is really nice. So what we do is we create the cash flow plan on the computer, and then we have the EveryDollar app on our phones where we can track as we're out and about and living our lives. So one of the things that Dave Ramsey, who, his company created this, one of the things he says is that in any relationship, one person is a little bit more of the nerd when it comes to personal finance, and one person is a little bit more of the free spirit. And so it's a good idea to have the nerd put together the first draft of the plan. And then what you want to do is have the free spirit change something. Because if the free spirit says, oh, that's fine, whatever you want, it's a trap. It means they're not bought into it. They haven't owned it. They're probably just going to go do whatever they want. So have the free spirit change something. In our relationship, I'm the nerd when it comes to personal finance. So I do the first draft of the cash flow plan on the computer, and then Paul has to approve it and change something. Usually that's more money for restaurants, more money for concerts and guitars and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, because I want him bought in. I want to be able to do this together, work together, build together. And so I'm willing to allow room in the cash flow plan for things that maybe I don't value as much, but he does, right? And then on the other hand, he can do that with me as well. And that includes, even if you have your fund money, like if you would rather save it and invest it than spend it on something, you could do that too. Like you get that choice, right? Which is really nice. So then we each have the EveryDollar app on our phones. So there's just like a handful of categories that we actually track. Let me show you how to do it in the app. So when you are getting ready to add transactions, you can just click the plus and let's say I spent, $78 on groceries at Trader Joe's. Okay, I think I accidentally clicked on the miscellaneous category. I did that. Okay. Get out of there. We just want transactions plus, okay, $78. I spent the money at Trader Joe's, and you can select which budget item that was. And in this case, that is groceries. Okay. And then you can even split it up if it was part groceries, part something else. And then you click track expense. Okay. Now look what happens. When I go down to the grocery category, or up to the grocery category, now you can see how much I planned and you can see how much is remaining. You could also click and see how much is spent, which is really nice. There's only a handful of categories where Paul and I are likely to go over, which is basically groceries, restaurants, gas, and fund money. Those are the main things. So things like the HOA, the gym, that amount is just that amount. So that's one of the reasons I like the free app better, because I don't have to go be like, yes, we paid that, and drag all of the transactions. So we just focus on those categories where we might go over, and that way it allows us to stay in communication with each other without having to constantly ask permission. And it also allows us to see if we're on track. And then if we have an unexpected expense, like having to replace the 4 tires the other day, then we can either pull from other categories, or we can put it into the next month, put it on a credit card this month, put it into next month's plan, pull from savings. When you know what you're looking at, if you don't have enough to cover everything the way the plan was, then you know what the numbers are, so you can create a plan. So even if you have more things that you want to allocate money to, or more bills than you have income coming in, you can create a plan for that. What can I do to make some extra money? What can I do to get another client? Could I put part in this month's cash flow plan, part in next month's cash flow plan? Could I pull some from savings? Could I put this thing on a credit card until next month and cash flow it next month? The clarity and the peace that comes with having a plan is just so awesome. So I really like this app. I know some people prefer you need a budget or Quicken or other tools, and that's fine. The key is to find something that works for you and that hopefully you'll even enjoy. So if you appreciated this, please tap the like button and let me know in the comments. If you have any follow-up questions, let me know that as well. And if there are any other financial apps or platforms that you'd like me to review, let me know in the comments and I will check that out. Thanks so much for watching and have a beautiful day.